Shalom, all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem HaKadosh, double to the elder apostles of great most on it, roll well, and Shalom to the brother doing work, serving truth. Uh, Interesting little article here on, the Straight Times, where you just see a continuation of the trend, and you kind of have, like, a few different angles, a few different, points, like, what's the word, correlating to where you're getting what do you call it, man? These points correlating to where the internet essentially as a whole is slowly being like carved off and sectioned off, and limited from what you can do. And one angle of that is the Child Safety Act in the UK, um, where you have a what do you call it, for you to access certain sites, you have to prove you're an adult by what's it called, by sending your ID, or so like it'll be passport, driving license, something like that, showing your ID, or getting a face picture of your face taken, and then they send it through to an AI to verify you're like over the age of I think it's 18 for the UK. But you had, before the UK brought that in, you had Australia do one for under 15s as well, I believe, and you got Denmark as well, and there's a few other places. There's states as well in the US. A lot of it, I think like 7 or 8, maybe more. Last I checked, where they're doing lockdowns for certain things as well by age, and this is just that's what it's like with since Trump got in, everything's had a big push, and that's a big client. And the fact in fact impacts internationally can be seen over here with the Supreme Court saying the Supreme, what, it'd be Crown Court or whatever it was in the UK, saying that basically not legally accepting the the T in the LGBT, um and that was so legal documents, and then like legal access to like toilets, bathrooms, blah blah, all that shit is cooked. Like there's no hope for that shit. um which and that's really coming with the wave of Trump. But then it's the same thing with the internet lockdown as well, because you recently had the incident in Manchester, with the guy, the stabbing over here, and then the guy got taken out, and the main thing you had in the fuck was a country in America was when Netanyahu was over there, was saying like, oh, certain things you talk about, the small hats, then that shouldn't be allowed to be discussed online, etc. And then same thing, what you call it, over here, where now they've got that push. But that's one angle. But then the other angle is the general restricting access to, so like, I don't know, pornography or whatever the fuck, anything deemed adult, maybe even certain news sites, certain websites, whatever the fucking and then really social media as well is where it's starting. Social media and porn are the two angles they're using really to kind of come at this thing from, and then from there they can expand out. But these are the things that are being used to kind of like carve up the internet, what you can access. And as far as with saying like, oh, children shouldn't see porn, it's like, who's really gonna argue against that? And then same thing with social media as well, where you've basically had with social media, you've basically had it push for a while. It's been completely melting the brains of youths. Like youths are getting their brain turned into scrambled egg by these things. So this is what Denmark said October 7th. It planned to introduce a social media ban for children under the age of 15. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen did not specify which social media networks would fall under the ban, nor how it would work in practice, as she announced the initiative in a speech to Parliament at the end of the opening of its autumn session. And yeah, with Like that's usually will include like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. Like, but then they can broaden it because they could even say shit that you could be able to just comment on. Might be like a news site, whatever comment section underneath, and then that might be the justification. Oh, what fucking hell! All right, let's had a fucking madness outdoors. But I'll read it again. So, Prime Minister Meet Frederickson did not specify which social media networks would fall under the ban, nor how it would work in practice, as she announced the initiative in a speech to Parliament at the opening of the autumn session. The bill, the timeline of which remains unspecified, would authorize parents to let their children use social media from the age of 13. Yeah, I think now most places like you're meant to only use them over the age of 13, but that shit has never actually been real. There's no like checking the ID. It's just you tick a box. So but obviously now they're looking to put in like legal frameworks and whatnot. So it says the cell phone and social media are robbing fucking our cell phone, I say that, robbing our children of their childhood, Miss Frederickson said, arguing that 60% of Danish boys aged 11 to 19 prefer to stay home over spending time with friends. Yeah, I mean that's been a thing. I don't even know. It's like that's the thing is like with the kids using social media, kids using like technology, and the negative impacts. That's something you can't really argue against as far as that shit has been fucking destroying them kids. But then really, it's setting up a new status quo, and it's basically building a framework, a structure around the internet for restricting who can access and do what. And it starts with something where you can't risk. Like no one's out here thinking, oh no, we need to make sure kids can watch porn and get on social. No one's thinking about that shit. Which is why these things, you got a little resistance to it. You'll have people saying, oh, it's human rights violation, but then once it's through, it's like it's less resistance than just like trying to put the raw like brick card or these things. But then let's see, the other guy, I know he's just being questioned. I mean, yeah, he fucking had a shank out, so what can he say? But then obviously it's they built the narrative around over here in the UK around what do you call it? Fucking the migration issue, and then because of the migration issue, then the Brit card, those things are easy to justify, like almost no fucking trouble justifying pushing that. And people will just hold it. They'll just hold it. So as it say, Australia has been a leader in global efforts to prevent internet harm among young people. In late 2024, its parliament adopted a ban on social media for under 16s, though there are still almost no details on how the measure will be enforced. And yeah, and here in the UK, they've done the, Child Safety Act, and then you had the, like, independent companies or whatever verifying the identity. But you had like a hack like 2-3 days ago where a bunch of people's details, some of their details, some of their like payment details, then like pictures of their IDs, these things got leaked. They're not saying how much, they're saying like not all of them but a portion of them. So that's the thing as well, is there's dangers of that being leaked, and then that's where that Karagma can come and they say, okay, rather than having it centralizing these things, either we have a government database, and then we have, okay, you'll get like a particular identification, it's like your Brit card or whatever will be used as that verification, some centralized system. Because once they kind of have these things in, it's it's piss. This is what platforms such as Facebook, Snapchat, and TikTok and YouTube fall under. Yeah, so YouTube's under it in Australia. So I won't be a surprise. Won't be a surprise. Let me read this. Amos 8 and 11 says, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, the Most High Power, that I will send a famine in the land, not famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Jehovah." And that's really where you see this thing being pushed. Is heavily that what do you call it? That famine of the word, man. It's one of the various angles, and there's very little resistance to it. Very little resistance to it. Yeah. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom.